It was past midnight, and I was just about to finally relax after a long day, when a loud knock on my door shattered the quiet. My heart skipped a beat as I peeked through the peephole, only to see my boss standing there, drenched from the rain, with an intensity in his eyes I had never seen before. "You're the one I want," he said, his voice low but urgent. "I want to stay tonight." I froze, unsure whether I should be shocked, scared, or confused. How did he even know where I lived? And why was he here, at my door, in the middle of the night? All I could do was stare, my mind racing with questions. My boss, the person I'd always respected at work for his calm professionalism, now stood in front of me with a side of him I had never imagined. There was a tension in the air, thick and impossible to ignore, and I had no idea what his sudden visit meant or how it would change everything between us. As the rain continued to pour outside, I realized this night was about to change my life forever, but I had no idea how. I stepped back, motioning for him to come in, my hands trembling slightly. The air inside my apartment felt heavier somehow, as if the rain outside had followed him in. I kept stealing glances at him, trying to read his expression, but he was unreadable serious, intense, yet strangely vulnerable. My mind drifted back to the last few weeks at work. He had always been professional, distant even, but there had been moments, small, fleeting moments where his attention lingered a little too long, where his compliments felt personal rather than routine. I had brushed them off at the time, thinking I was overanalyzing. Now, standing in my living room at midnight, that distance felt gone, replaced by something urgent, something I couldn't quite name. The knock on my door had not been random. I remembered the way he had looked in the office the day before, his focus unsettled, his usual calm replaced with something more restless. As he stood there silently, I realized I didn't know him at all, not really on yet. Suddenly, I was completely aware that this night was crossing a line neither of us could take back. The question that haunted me, why now? I offered him a seat on the couch, but he didn't move immediately. Instead, he stood by the window, watching the rain streak down the glass, his hands clenched tightly at his sides. There was a weight to him, like he had been carrying something he couldn't share at work, something that had finally pushed him to my door. I wanted to ask questions, but the words caught in my throat. My heart was racing, part of me curious, part terrified of what this midnight visit might mean. As I watched him, memories of the past few months flashed through my mind. The way he had stayed late in the office, often leaving me last, the way his emails sometimes carried a tone that felt different, personal, almost urgent. Was this what had been building beneath the surface all along, or was tonight a sudden, unexplainable impulse? I also thought about my own life, the boundaries I had always tried to keep. I wasn't sure how to navigate this new dynamic, and yet a part of me was drawn in, unable to look away. The apartment felt smaller suddenly, the rain louder, the tension between us almost tangible. Then he finally spoke, his voice low and steady. I couldn't wait any longer. I had to come. I could feel the air between us tighten, every second stretching longer than the last. He finally turned from the window, his eyes locking onto mine with a depth I hadn't seen before. "I can't stop thinking about you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, yet somehow it filled the room. My pulse raced, a mix of fear, confusion, and something I didn't want to admit. What was happening here? How had our professional world shifted so suddenly into this charged, unpredictable space? The rain outside tapped against the glass like a warning drum, echoing the rapid beat of my own heart. My mind scrambled through possibilities, consequences, and the lines I knew I shouldn't cross. Yet here he was, standing in my living room at midnight, and the usual sense of control I had at work felt completely gone. I tried to step back, to create some distance, but the room seemed smaller with him there. His expression softened, yet the intensity never left his gaze. There was something urgent, almost desperate in the way he looked at me, like he had carried this moment for far too long. "Tell me I'm not imagining this. Tell me you feel it too," he said, his voice trembling slightly. And just like that, everything felt like it was on the edge of breaking. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed on the coffee table, shattering the moment. I picked it up, and my eyes widened at the message flashing across the screen. It was from a colleague at work. *, did you know your boss is in a meeting downtown right now? My heart stopped. How could he be here with me, at my apartment, if he was supposed to be somewhere else entirely? I looked at him, and for the first time, uncertainty flickered across his face. "I can explain," he stammered, stepping closer, his usual confidence faltering, but the look in his eyes was different now, more conflicted, almost secretive. Suddenly, the late-night visit wasn't just about feelings or impulses. There was something more at play, something I didn't understand. The rain outside intensified, as if echoing the storm building between us. My mind raced with questions. Was this a setup? Was he hiding something dangerous? Or had I misread the signs all along? The safe boundaries I had relied on were gone, replaced with tension that felt both thrilling and terrifying. He reached out, hesitant, and whispered, "There's something I didn't tell you, something that changes everything." My chest tightened, knowing that whatever came next could either shatter everything I thought I knew or turn my world upside down in ways I wasn't ready for. He took a deep breath, finally letting the tension spill out. "I wanted to tell you the truth, but I didn't know how," he said, his eyes searching mine. "I've been undercover for an internal investigation at work. That meeting downtown, it was a cover. I couldn't risk anyone finding out, and I didn't want to put you in danger. The words hit me like a storm. Everything, the sudden intensity, the midnight visit, his conflicted behavior suddenly made sense, yet it only raised more questions. So, all of this was because of work? I asked, my voice shaking. He nodded, but there was a vulnerability in his eyes that made it clear his feelings were real. We sat in silence. The rain finally easing outside, the weight of everything hanging heavy between us. For the first time, I saw him as more than just my boss. He was a man with fears, secrets, and emotions he had tried to hide. I realized that trust and honesty would be the only way forward, and for a moment, it felt like a fragile calm had settled over us. Then, just as I began to process everything, my phone buzzed again. Another message, asterisk, I know what happened tonight. You're not safe. My blood ran cold. The night was far from over, and the real danger, the real twist, was only just beginning. I froze, staring at the message, my mind spinning. He reached for my hand, steadying me, and I felt a mix of fear and trust that I hadn't allowed myself to feel before. We'll figure this out together, he said, his voice firm yet reassuring. That night, we worked through every detail, sharing information carefully, planning our next steps. The tension slowly shifted from chaos to a sense of partnership by morning. The rain had stopped, and sunlight spilled across the apartment. What had started as a terrifying, confusing midnight encounter had turned into a moment of clarity. I understood him better, he understood me, and together we faced the lingering threats with caution and honesty. The lines between work and personal life would never be the same, but there was a newfound respect and trust that neither of us could ignore. As he left, promising to return later under safer circumstances, I felt a mix of relief and lingering suspense. Life would go on, complicated yet exciting, and I realized that sometimes the most unexpected moments reveal who people truly are. That night taught me about courage, trust, and the unpredictable ways love and loyalty can appear in the most impossible situations.